My name is Mario Della Savia. I'm the nephew of Louis Ginetta for the Canadian Italian Amateur Hockey League. We're here at the Resource Department at the Ford Performing Center, and we're here to enjoy and revel in the history of the Canadian Italian Amateur Hockey League.
This is the very first reunion of the Canadian Italian Hockey League, and it's a very emotional day today because my father, Louis Ginetta, the founder of this league at 17 years of age, had the longest running Italian league, 49 years it ran, and right here today are players from the very first years right up to the very last years, so from Ravenna Gardens to the George Bell Arena right to St. Mike's.
Today we're kind of highlighting the Canadian Italian Hockey League and Louis Ginetta's influence on the league itself. I think what's so special about it, not only are we reliving the past, but it's kind of a reunion in sorts for a lot of them. But at the end of the day, it plays a role in hockey history. And a lot of people think of the NHL or think of that, but in order to get there, you've got to play in the lower leagues. And this is one of Louis' dreams. Obviously made it to television, there's programs. I mean, it was ran in a professional way. And it's kind of a get-together just to reminisce and recreate what was.
Well, the league is over 40, almost 50 years. Louis Ginetta is the one that started the league. He's since passed. I think he'd be extremely excited and very excited to be here seeing his former coaches and players enjoy the reunion that we're having here.
Mi chiamo Tony Carenzi. I was the coach of the Abruzzi team. So giocato per 7-8 anni nella Liga, dopo di quello sono stato il coach di Abruzzi. Lui Ginetta è un good friend of mine. Lui mi ha mandato a tante posti per aiutare la League, you know. Ancora la League non comincia più, è finito, ma si è portato tante cose per i clienti italiani, no? È una bella cosa.
Well, I was coach of the Calabria team. And I started coaching back in the 70s. I was assistant coach, and then I took over for the team, and it was very enjoyable. So I stayed with it till 1984-85.
So giocato tanti anni nella Liga Italiana. Alla fine, l'ultimi 5-6 anni sono stata parte delle organizzate la Liga. Siamo privati per fare 50 anni, ma sono compito 49 anni nella Liga, Italia League del Ginetta.
Oh, this exhibit has quite a bit of artifacts. We have jerseys, we have programs, we have photos of the Pope visit back in the 70s. We have jerseys, trophies. We're very fortunate to have a lot of artifacts.
This does speak to the heart of the immigrants that came to Canada, the young men, the young Italian men that were not allowed to play hockey here. And my father loved hockey. And he said, there's no way I'm just going to sit on the bench or not be allowed to play. So he started the league, and every young Italian boy could play hockey, whether they were good or not. They didn't sit on the bench. Everyone got to play. And that league spawned NHLers. You know, John D'Amico, the Cavallini brothers, Lou Fontinato, Pipa Bando, everyone came out of this league. Lots of NHLers came out of this league. But what it did do is bring the community together. Camaraderie. Today people are greeting each other that haven't seen each other for 50 years or 40 years or 30 years, and they're hugging and there's tears running down their face. This league meant a lot to a lot of people.
Era importante perché tanti quelli che giocavano junior hockey e poi non è andato più fuori di quello. Nessuno ha posto per giocare. Quando veniva lì, per giocare nella Liga era bravo e buono. Puro per insegnare quello che fa, no? Come giocare, non voglio combattere troppo tanto. Portano il nome dell'italiano fuori a tutti i clienti per vedere.
Well, the league was very special because it was all Italian, obviously. It was something for our culture. I think if we look back through history at that time, there was a lot of tremendous players that played in the American League, the Cavallinis who went on to play in the National Hockey League, and a lot of guys that just were great hockey players that played at levels of junior. But to be able to come together and be a culture and be part of history, even at that time, it meant a lot to be able to be part of that league and keep it going for 49 years.
Oh, it was great because a lot of the young guys, we had nothing to do. And even though I wasn't a hockey player, I loved hockey, so that's why I got into coaching. But the players, all these kids that had no place to go and that, Sunday mornings, Saturdays, they got something to do. Louis he did a good thing when he started this league. It was very, very good for the kids in the league, you know.
It was very important because the kids had no place to go. And when they came there, they had something to do, something to enjoy, something to love. And the camaraderie that they got, play with each other, being friends, and pass it on to everybody else was something you just can't replace. It kept them off the streets and did something they love playing, the game of hockey.
Well, it depends. If you ask my wife, she'll say, I'm so glad they're out of the house. If you ask me, they were a part of tremendous history. So many great memories, friendships that today we still have, and seeing some guys that we haven't seen in a long time. È stato truly speciale per stare con tutti questi giocatori della pasta anni a giocare la hockey in la Canadian Italian Hockey League.
It's not easy because, of course, Canada is a wonderful country of diverse, ethnicities, and we all love each other. We all get along. But I think that it's so important to teach your children to keep those family traditions alive and to know where your roots were. Learn about what your parents and grandparents, what they had to do to allow this generation to just be able to play on any league or go anywhere. They couldn't do that before. They had to make that road, that path for the younger generation, for the next generation. So here, this is full of heritage today. This is full of sacrifice. These players had nothing. They raised money to buy their sweaters and their skates and to get ice time. And then they ended up being on the national team, some of them, and even playing all over the world and having an audience with the Pope. They accomplished so much, but what they, I believe, really accomplished was keeping the spirit of the Canadian Italians together. They were all here. They all needed to feel that one-manship, and they brought that into each generation. I have people here saying, my grandfather played, my father played, I played. So they kept that alive, and it's so important. And I know my dad's here with us today.
I think in the future, the Italians playing hockey, there are still a lot of Italians playing hockey. They shouldn't give up. They should have their dream, go for it all the way. Whether you make it or not, it doesn't matter. As long as you're playing a game of hockey and you're having a good time, and sportsmanship is the main thing, that's what counts.
I would say that the important thing is always remember where you came from. Be proud of your heritage. I know that it's a lot more accepted today than it was in the past, obviously. I think it's important when you speak to a lot of these guys from the past, they also say that at that time, the Canadian Italian Hockey League meant a lot to them because of the heritage, and we should carry ourselves and respect what our heritage meant globally, let alone to the Canada and what we've been able to give back. And the game was a Canadian game that we endeared to ourselves as our game, and we're just glad to be part of it. I think it was just be rewarding that we were part of such a great game and continue our heritage. I hope it goes forward as a lot of these guys, their kids have made it to the NHL. They've been drafted. They play in American League. So it's a great full circle to see some of the great things that have happened.